Hello and welcome to a special episode of Good Brews, Bad Views. I'm your host, Max Nestorowicz, and as always, joined by my co-host, James Thorpe.
Hi.
And Ryan Everard.
Hey.
I was recently informed I have been pronouncing your last name wrong.
Mine?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say it was Thorpe or something.
No,
weird.
no,
Okay,
not
so.
yes. Yeah.
So what were you saying it as?
I was saying Everett for the longest time.
And that's in the long list of many acceptable ways to screw that up because there are too many vowels in the end of it. To
There
make
are.
sense.
There's like 3.
Yeah, Everett, Everard, whatever. I will respond to any. I'll
All right.
respond to almost anything. Pretty much a loud noise in my vicinity. I'm just going
Yeah.
to turn and look at that.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been making just, a fool of myself for the last, year almost.
You're welcome.
I use keys.
Yeah. Woo.
All right. So, the podcast has made it to 25 episodes,
Woo-hoo,
which
we're all still alive.
Yep.
Yeah.
With
On the-
livers intact.
Yeah, on the outside anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I was expecting it to make it this far. Maybe, yeah, but I don't know. What about you guys?
I didn't really know. I also didn't have any real goals. For me, this is just a super fun thing to do with people that I enjoy doing it with. Sex jokes, but it's just a lot of fun. I really didn't have any anticipations or crystal ball expectations for it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we've come this far, and hopefully we can just kind of keep it going because I really look forward to this, and hopefully there are people that are not the three of us that enjoy it as well, be it our guests or just whoever. So it's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. I thought that if we could get to a point where we felt comfortable with each other, that we would keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And we got there really quickly. So I think that's why we've gotten to this point. Because the bigger surprise isn't that we made it to 25; it's how quickly we made it to 25.
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah. So
Did me wearing pajamas less often help?
somewhat. Ryan, people don't need to know that you are often just wearing pajamas during the recording of this episode. I mean, me and James know, but the world at large doesn't need to know.
As someone who sleeps naked, it makes things awkward for us.
So, for our commemorative 25th episode, we have titled this episode Cleaning Out the Fridge.
Right.
We are going through our beer fridge, drinking a bunch of stuff, as well as just giving thoughts on the past about a year, from planning to now.
Thoughts, musings, criticisms, that kind of thing.
And kind of on a side note, this episode is brought to you by Bell's Brewery. A
Thank
couple
you,
weeks
Bell's.
back, we met a good fan of the show, Sophie Smith, who is friends with our good friend Steve Cuff. Thanks, Steve. And
Also,
is
fan
also
of the show.
Also a friend of the show. Yeah.
Right.
And she is, 1, a fan of the show, and 2, an employee of Bell's Brewery. So after recording an episode, we went out to downtown Detroit, met her for a couple drinks, and she graciously provided us with a number of beers and Bell's swag.
Right.
So, James, why don't you tell us about this beer, because this is clearly a James beer.
Yes, I'm excited to be drinking this. This is called Oarsman. They describe it as a tart wheat beer. It is on the border of being a Gosa. It doesn't quite have the salt that a Gosa would. I quite enjoy this. It's very refreshing.
Same.
I would definitely see myself sitting around like a campfire or something during the summer and having a few of these, just kind of relaxing or off on the the dock or something like that with it. I really, really, really enjoy this. I haven't had it before, so.
Yeah, this is my first time having this one as well.
Likewise.
Bell's always kind of surprises me with like these weird kind of stuff. Like, I mean, they're known for their Two Hearted, their IPAs, their porters, their ambers, like the pretty like standard tier, like standard craft tier of like the non-lager or adjunct lager styles. And I feel like these ones really fly under the radar. So when we get to have these, it's very, very pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is one of 5 different beers that we were provided.
Yes, Bell's gave us Bell's/Sophie gave us Expedition Stout, which I've been told is the stoutiest stout you can have. I don't know.
There ever was.
Yeah, that there ever was. But we have not tried any of these other ones yet. We've got Smitten, which is a rye ale, which I had last weekend when I was having some barbecue. Very very good beer for having a meal with.
So enjoy all the chewing you're going to hear on that episode.
Oh yes, yeah. We got the Third Coast Old Ale, which is a barley wine.
I am excited for that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was the next one?
Oatsmobile.
Oh yes, Oatsmobile, which is a relatively new beer, I believe. I just
Yes.
remember seeing that on the shelves in the last couple months.
Yeah, I believe so.
So I think that's 5. Yeah.
And we got
and
koozies.
this one. Yep. We're looking forward to enjoying those over the next few episodes.
Yeah. We'll scatter them about. I mean, we drank the Oatsmobile first as it was non-pasteurized. We had to keep it cold. And
Oarsman.
Yes. Oarsman, yes.
The other O.
Yeah.
It's been a long day of podcast recording.
Podcasting and beering and all those sorts of shenanigans, chicanery.
So look forward to those episodes in the future. And once again, thank you, Bells.
Mm-hmm. And thank you for listening, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Yes. And we're sorry.
Yep.
yeah. We can't apologize enough.
So, in kind of breaking in form from our usual episodes of watching a movie and doing somewhat drunken commentary of somewhat questionable quality, we have a number of topics today that we are going to talk about, and just kind of a good summary of where we've been over the last 24 episodes and 20-some beers. So, we're going to start things off with... Let's first go through the list of what we've watched over the last 24 episodes. Because people have asked me, what are the movies you watch? And sometimes I'm like, like my mind is blank.
And whatever we most recently watched.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. Because, Flintstones is that pinned tweet on our Twitter account.
Right.
So, starting from episode 1, we have the Flintstones. Then we have Death Race, the 2009 remake, sorry, Jason Statham.
Yes.
Then Dude, Where's My Car? Deep Rising. Batman Forever, the first in the terrible third movies series.
Yes.
Gamer. Spider-Man 3, with our first on-air guest, Jordan.
Yeah. Thanks, Jordan.
Yep. Jeepers Creepers. And then we have Jack Frost, which is the first episode where we all drank the same beer. Then next, Van Helsing with our friend Jess.
Thank you, Jess.
Santa's Sleigh, which was our first blind view, where we had not watched the movie beforehand and went in
It's so much
completely blind, not knowing what we were getting ourselves into.
That movie's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to
Yes.
be tough to top that one.
Next is London Has Fallen, our second movie with Gerard Butler. First one being Gamer. Then we have Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, continuing the terrible threes.
Yep.
Ravenous, James' least favorite movie ever. Next we have Hercules. Then Suicide Squad with Steve Cuff. The Trust, our first Nick Cage movie.
Yes.
And certainly not the last.
No.
As of yet, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Following that, we have Death Race 2050. Then
Hell yeah.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies with Kayla.
Ms. Kayla.
Super Mario Brothers, the Origin Stories episode.
Yep.
Then we have the 3-part First Bad Movies with Escape from LA with James. TMNT with Ryan. And Double Dragon with me. And then our last episode, Sleepy Hollow. So, my question for you guys is, guess the top 3 and bottom 3 movies based off of their IMDb ratings. We'll start with
I'm going to
James.
stack this,
So,
James.
top 3.
Want to write them down?
Sleepy Hollow will be in the top 3.
Okay.
Deep Rising is going to be up there.
Okay.
And then Death Race.
With the original one? Or
Yeah.
excuse me, the
Statham?
The
Statham one. Okay. All right, Ryan?
Yeah, definitely Sleepy Hollow. Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna agree with Death Race. What else would be up there? And I'm actually gonna say London Has Fallen. Maybe
Flintstones might be in there.
I'm
Okay.
sticking with my 3.
Okay.
All right, so here are the top 3 movies of Good Brews, Bad Views, episodes 1 through 24. Number 1, Sleepy Hollow,
There
with
you
a
go.
7.4.
Wow.
Okay.
Number 2, Ravenous, with a 7.
Yeah, eat it, James.
No.
Yeah, ruminate on that a bit.
And number 3, we have Death Race
Ha!
with Jason Statham.
there we go.
Well, I got 2 out of 3 right, Ryan.
Yep.
So.
Whatever.
All right.
So did I.
Now the harder one.
Oh, yeah, you did. You copied.
Yeah. Name the bottom 3, or guess the bottom 3.
All right, I'm certain Death Race 2050 is on there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the bottom 3. I'm gonna say Death Race 2050. I might actually put Flintstones in there.
Okay.
And dude, where's my car?
It's Double Dragon,
Oh
Okay.
fuck, I forgot
Jack
about
Frost,
forgot
Okay.
about Double Dragon.
and I had the other one, Super Mario Brothers.
Okay. So the bottom 3 are Death Race 2050 and Double Dragon, both at a 3.6,
Nice.
Okay.
and then Super Mario Brothers at a 4.0.
Yeah.
well played.
Jack Frost not far behind at a 4.6.
Hey, there we go.
I think the Flintstones has like
Flintstones
a
is
5 something.
4.8.
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
one.
not. It's
That-
definitely down there.
That is
surprises
surprising
me. Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that movie hasn't seen a resurgence in better ratings.
Right.
It's probably because everyone forgets that movie exists.
Or that the Viva Rock Vegas is somehow preventing
Tainted
that.
the memory of those movies.
I haven't seen it, but I
But,
certainly don't need to.
But no, we go from a 7.4 with Sleepy Hollow down to a 3.6 with Double Dragon / Death Race
It makes
2050.
me so happy that Ravenous is number 2.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think that looking at that, that kind of hits into the sweet spot that we originally planned for this podcast to hit, because we didn't want to really delve into like MST3K territory.
Yeah.
Where it's
Netflix straight to
where it's Netflix, or just movies that are
noun versus noun
are
monster movies.
horrific. I mean, you walk into that knowing that you're running into something rough.
Right.
And yet at the same, so we were looking for things that were relatively recognizable, but at the same time we're recognized as just bad movies, and for how inflated scores often are.
Yeah, because those are all user based on IMDb, so
Right.
anyone can vote on those. I didn't go Metacritic or
Yeah,
whatever.
But how inflated scores tend to be on sites like that, it doesn't surprise me that we're sticking right around that, like 3 to 6 is probably where we do most of our damage.
Yeah,
to
most of
ourselves,
them
or 4
are
to 6.
high 5s, low 6s.
Yeah.
So, because I think the drop from Ravenous to Death Race is 7 to 6.4, and the rest of it is like point by point by point. It's not, one really like out of the park. Obviously, or surprisingly, another higher ranking episodes include Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and Spider-Man 3, both at 6.2s, and Suicide Squad at 6.3. So technically, that's an interesting thing to do, because as I was going through the IMDb earlier today, I was like typing them all out. When you go to Suicide Squad's IMDb page, like this big graphic like pops up in the background, and it's all like an Ed Hardy shirt exploded onto your website. So it's very, stylized.
Yeah.
So I assume that's what kind of goes into that rating. I was surprised Death Race was that low, but that might just be because of how cheap the movie looks.
Well, it might be that there's probably not a lot of people rating that movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I would guess that movie has a lot of like 1s and 2s from the people that are not understanding what they're walking into, and probably a decent amount of like 5s and 6s and 7s from the people who do understand what they're walking into.
All right. Well, transitioning to that, James, why don't you go to our next topic?
All right, so we're going to talk about the beers that we've been drinking. Like Max said, Jack Frost was actually the first episode that we switched over to all 3 of us drinking the same beer. And we did that, as a reminder, we did that because we really wanted to get more discussion about beer into the episode.
Yeah.
Because those first couple episodes with us drinking 3 different beers, we didn't have much to really go back and forth about.
Right.
Yeah, it was more of us going for our own personal tastes or trying to do the real jokey kind of beers.
Yeah.
Like Evil Urges from Shorts is a beer with a bunch of cats on it, which
Right.
went very well for Jeepers Creepers based off that one cat scene. But I couldn't really talk about the beer much with you guys.
Yeah,
so.
that part of the discussion on the episodes was a little more siloed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's definitely something we're trying to work on and do more of, but more on that later.
Coming soon.
Yeah. Okay. So with that in mind, we're going to kind of do a little bit of the same thing with beers as we did with movies, but in this one, we're going to talk about our favorites that we've had this time.
Okay.
So, as a proposal, if you do want me to go back into those first episodes of beer that you drank, you can ask me if there's something that you don't remember. But I'll go through.
One of mine will be from that section, actually.
Okay, that's
Favorite
fine.
beers?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well,
I
I think let's start with the
Well,
the group beers.
You want me to go through all the group beers?
No, I mean like Jack Frost on.
He made that
Yeah.
sound like a dare.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna go Jack Frost on, and then if you have something that you wanted in the past and that you remember in the past, go ahead and go for it.
sure.
Because I think Ryan, you and I are both gonna probably jump back into those group beers actually too. All right, so starting with Jack Frost, we did Three Scrooges by Griffin Claw.
Good Christmas ale.
It was very much. That's been my favorite Christmas ale.
Okay, yeah,
Really?
that's one of my favorite Christmas ales
Yeah.
actually. We did Nosferatu from Great Lakes Brewing Company and Van Helsing, which I somehow managed to say like the guy from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Santa's Sleigh was Christmas Ale by Great Lakes Brewing Company again.
A lesser Christmas ale.
London Has Fallen was Barley Fife by Round Barn Brewery. Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome was Diesel Punk Porter from Uber Brew. Ravenous was Critterless from Shorts. All right, I'm just going to keep going on the beers.
Yeah.
Lizard of Cause was from Founders. Paradox Red was from Raised Grain. That was brought to us from Milwaukee by Steve Cuff, specifically. We did Plead the Fifth by Dark Horse. Hop Slam by Bells. Zombie Killer by Bee Nectar. Dragon's Milk, New Holland. Armageddon Grand Cru by Dragon Mead. Scotty Karate by Dark Horse. Nitro Red Velvet by Ballast Point. And Pumpkin by Southern Tier. So, Ryan, let's go around. We'll do
Top three?
We'll do your bottom two first. We'll do lows first, and then we'll end on highs.
Oh, my bottom two. Man, it's probably going to be the Diesel Punk.
Okay.
Just because I honestly don't even remember drinking that one. I do now that you mentioned the name.
That was something I picked out just because, like, I thought the can was always
Yeah,
cool
no,
on the shelf.
And that's
I wanted to try to do like a jokey beer with that one.
Well, yeah, I mean that's part of what we do. Is
it's just sampling random stuff,
yeah,
right?
and a lot of this too is take this that what we're discussing here that typically when we're saying our least favorites, we're putting it that way.
Right.
Most of the stuff we've had, all three of us would agree is at least okay.
Right.
With the
exception of Pumpkin today
Pump-
for you.
Yes. But outside of that, we're not trying to go after these beers here. We're just
No,
kind
no.
of putting stuff up and down here. So, all right. So Diesel Punk
That was one. Dang.
was it that Hop Rod Rye you had way at the very beginning?
That was Death Race 1.
Death Race 1.
Yeah, that's probably. Yeah, that would be one of my bottom two for sure.
Okay.
That'd be the other half.
All right, Max.
Yeah. Bottom beers. I'm gonna go with Ryan. The Diesel Punk Porter. It was just a very bland porter. I
It
mean,
was
there
really
was
mediocre.
yeah, it was a very mediocre beer. I mean,
Okay.
it wasn't bad,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like I was saying, if I was going to introduce someone who had just been drinking Bud Light, Miller, etc., into like different beers, and I didn't want to spend any money on that task, really,
Diesel Punk.
I would give them, a Diesel Punk Porter, because it's nothing like outrageous from a flavor profile that's really going to turn them off. It's got the distinct porter like flavors to it, but it's nothing spectacular, which you could say probably may or may not be a good thing if you want to introduce someone
Yeah.
to a different style.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm not going to give someone I don't know. The triple mash Dragon's Milk Reserve.
Right.
If I want to get someone into that kind of jam.
That the local bar was out of tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, the other one. I might have to go Lizard of Kaz only because it was too much. It was too much beer.
Interesting pick.
That's
It was too many flavors for the amount of beer that we were drinking.
Mm.
The
Okay.
three of us split a bomber of it, so 750 mils, and that is definitely a beer I want like 4 ounces
Yeah,
of.
yeah. It's almost like a sipping beer you should get in a shot glass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like we had Ryan and I all three of us just shared a little 4-ounce glass of Fruitwood by Founders, same brewing company.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Phenomenal beer, great aroma, great taste. I don't want more than like 4 ounces of that beer. It is too potent in flavor, really. To like it's overwhelming. Like it was nice to just sip on Lizard of Kaz, but to take like a full mouthful,
Yeah.
it was
Well,
a struggle to get through.
Lizard of Kaz takes you on an adventure every time with every sip.
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's like
there's-
ooh.
I mean,
first
there's-
I got some blueberries. Ooh, then I got some chocolate.
Chocolat.
Vanilla.
Yeah, it's like it's three.
And roasted malts.
Yeah, it's 3 distinct flavors you get in that. Which I mean,
Not even counting the regular
beer
stout
taste.
flavors.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
right.
kudos to Founders for pulling that off. Like that's
Yeah, it was a commemorative beer that the brewer made for his sister's birthday. It was like all the stuff she really enjoyed.
okay.
So I applaud that they're able to do that much with a beer, but it's almost too much to do with a beer.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like I don't need everything. It's
Yeah.
like we were talking about in Sleepy Hollow recently, like, oh, there's all these moving parts, and look at this
Right.
crazy story we have, and it's almost like I remember, as we were watching it, and I remember watching it like years and years ago. It's like I don't know how this all fits together. After watching it like 7 times, I got it down pat, but no, it's almost like there's too much. You can definitely do too much with beer, and Wizard of Kaz for me is almost doing too much in a vast quantity of more than like 4 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That all sounds
And
same.
what were your least favorite beers?
Well, all right. I'm going
Bottom
to
2, buddy.
Yeah, bottom 2. Unlike you two, and unlike what I just said, I actually had today because we're doing a double feature
Yeah,
for us at
double
least here,
recording.
folks. But
First world problems.
yeah, it's rough being us.
Yep.
So this might be the first time in years that I've actually drank a beer and given it off to somebody else to finish because
Okay.
I didn't want to finish it.
Mhm.
That was the Pumpkin today, and I honestly can't put my finger on it. I have no idea why, but it just didn't sit with me.
Yeah, just the aggregate effect of that beer shuts you off, huh?
Yeah, and I'm not necessarily a huge pumpkin guy anyway, but that's just kind of how that one ran in for me. And then you know what? I'm gonna pick on that Diesel Punk Porter too. It was from a lot of
It's
cases
just forgettable. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's
no,
forgettable.
that's exactly it. It's forgettable. There were other beers on here, like Max said with Lizard of Kaz. There's a lot going on with Lizard of Kaz, but I will always remember what Lizard of Kaz
Right.
tasted like,
Mhm.
always. And I was debating between that and actually the Great Lakes Brewing Company Christmas Ale.
Really?
Yeah, and
I didn't
just
like that one.
just from the perspective of I love Three Scrooges.
Yeah, way better, far
It's
superior.
so good. And
Even though both of those beers are Christmas ales, they have very different flavor profiles.
Right.
Three
Yeah,
Stooges
for
is
sure.
much more gingerbready,
yep,
while the Christmas ale from Great Lakes is much more honey and
and I think part of that
Little bit
for
of cinnamon?
me at least is the vicinity upon which we drank those two.
Mm.
That we drank those in the same month,
Right.
and so there's really a comparison mind-wise as to like this is a Christmas ale. Oh,
Right.
we're having another Christmas ale.
Right.
yeah.
And when you open it up and you're like, this isn't like the other one, and I really liked the other one.
Right. Right.
Even that kind of skews it a little bit. So that's why I didn't bring that one up. I think it's
Okay.
I think the Diesel Punk is just it's a porter.
Yeah, I like
I mean-
I will admit when I picked that beer out and when I seen it on the shelf, like I'd seen it and I'm like, okay, yeah, it's got a neat little Art Deco-y design label, but
Mhm.
I knew I wasn't gonna get anything spectacular from
Right.
that. So
Okay. All right, so let's flip this. We're gonna go to the good beers here. Our
right.
two favorite beers. And before we go into this, just to throw you guys off and put you on your back foot, I am removing Hop Slam from the available choices of favorite beers.
Oh,
because
audible.
We already know that all three of us love Hop Slam so much. So
Yeah, it's about one of the only
Bells,
IPAs I'll
we're
tolerate.
not ignoring you. We're saying that you're too good to be considered, and
Yeah,
it's
go-
unfair.
Go sit in the corner. This competition excludes you.
Yes.
Uh,
So outside of Hop Slam, what were your two favorite beers that you had on this one? And we're gonna go to Max.
Yeah,
first.
Max, lead the way.
okay. Despite their recent negative publicity, Ballast Point's Grapefruit Sculpin is one of my favorite beers.
So that was to interrupt you real quick, Max. That was Max's beer that he brought on Dude, Where's My Car?
Yes. That it is such a refreshing beer. I love grapefruits. Grapefruits are probably my favorite citrus fruit.
Damn good, dog.
And I generally enjoy all citrus fruits.
It's a damn good fruit.
Damn good fruit. So that one was one of my favorites. Won't be drinking that beer for a while, or anything else by them, but that's my own personal politics. So whether or not you agree with that, that's your own business.
We talking about beer, dog.
Yep. Well, we've made our share of Trump jokes.
Yeah, that's obvious.
As far as other beers go, this is a tough one. I know I'm going to say something and then forget something else, so let's go with...
I remind you that you have Plumptious on this list.
Yeah,
This is pretty good.
I know that was my other one. I kind of want to go with Paradox Red. That was the beer Steve brought us. Plumptious I enjoy a lot, but it's a Scotch ale, so it's not a beer I'm always going to go to.
And I hadn't carried that from Wisconsin for you guys.
I'm
I'm glad it was enjoyed.
Ryan recently was in Minnesota. I had him bring me back some Plumptious.
Yeah.
Plumptious is good, but like most Scotch ales, they're not a go-to beer for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I enjoy when I have it, but I'm not gonna go to the store and buy it all the time.
Right.
Okay.
Paradox Red, it combines both the IPAs and the amber ales, which I both very much enjoy. IPAs more than the ambers, and it was just a solid, very solid beer. Like, Wisconsin does some great things with beers over there. So, as of right now, I'm gonna leave it at that. Because otherwise I'm going to be like humming and hawing for 5 minutes on the air.
Well, I think that by being a red IPA, it adds to our complaint typically about red beers, which is that they can be watery.
Mm-hmm.
And that the IPA really reinforces the flavor that oftentimes red ales are missing.
Shit, I want to change my answer already.
Do it up.
Redact what I just said about Paradox. It is a
Redact
great
it.
beer, but I want to change it. My beer of choice, number 2, is Critterless by Shorts.
Yeah.
So I have a number of opinions about Shorts. Overall, as a brewery, unpopular opinion, I don't like Shorts. I feel like Shorts has a lot of very niche-y, look at this weird thing we're doing with our beer. Which, on one hand, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's very nice. You could make an Earl Grey tier English ale, but it's so, like, inconsistent, or it just seems like, hey, look at our weird thing we're doing. We're being weird for the sake of being weird. Which doesn't appeal really to me at this point in my life as a beer drinker. That being said, I don't like sour ales, but you make a sour ale with mango and cherries, I am all over that.
Yep.
So and sours, are the current trend as far as beers go. So they are something I'm trying to dip my toes in more, as it's generally not a flavor that I really seek out or enjoy. when it comes to beers, but when you throw in like two of my favorite fruits with that and not make it too like puckery up, sour, then I really can enjoy it. So I'm going to cheat and say 3.
Nope.
Ballast Point, Paradox Red.
Paradox has been redacted. You already said it. Can't triple stamp a double stamp.
I'm doing it.
No races.
I'm doing it.
Triple stamp a double stamp. Max! Max!
All right.
Ryan.
Oh, you reminded me of a thing that is making me kind of waffle a bit here. Just a shift and pass that piece of paper down there. But no, Critterless is one of my 2, hands down.
Okay.
I loved Critterless from Shorts. It's very good. I mentioned previously that I got into sours actually at Gen Con in Indianapolis. But yes, Critterless is just real good. I passed a few off to some guys at work who had varying responses to it, but I really, really enjoy that beer. The mango and cherry is a great combination. It's the right amount of sour, and I'm just with you, 100% on that one, Max. The other one for me, honestly, for when we were doing individual beers, is the Weyerbacher. I have no idea if I'm saying that correctly, but the Blithering Idiot for Batman Forever.
I thought you were going to say that. Yeah.
I really, really like that.
I was guessing you were going to say that.
It had just a real pleasant finish, real smooth, the right amount of sweet, and man, does it hit you hard too. I think that was something like an 11%.
Barley wine usually, yes.
Yeah, it's higher up there, but I really like that a lot. However, I'm I almost want to throw in a third. Maybe we should all just do 3.
Yeah, 3. We'll
Let's
do 3.
do 3. But what was it? Sin Eater for
that was the Belgian dark one
for Spider-Man.
Both you and James have had that beer.
Yeah. Sin Eater is just great from Dragon Meat, a local brewery here in Warren, and I really, really like Sin Eater a lot. So
I've got a funny story about that beer. So, being that I drink a lot of craft beer, there is a number of craft beer empties at my house, and you always can't return those to your local Kroger or Meijer or what have you. So I got to the point where my parents were getting fed up with the beer or the empties in our garage, so they went and just like took them all back to like the local liquor store, and they tried to refuse to like take them, but they're like, oh no, your label's on this bottle. So they had like $12 in returns.
nice.
So then they bought a 4-pack of Sin Eater, which I am definitely responsible for turning my parents on a craft beer.
Mm-hmm.
So I just find it very amusing that they went with 1, a beer from Michigan, 2, a local beer on this side, and 3, one that has been featured twice on our podcast. So.
All right, so
Mr.
I guess
James.
I'll finish it up. The one caveat that I'm going to take for myself, if you guys will allow it, is that I brought my favorite beer in the entire world
Yes,
onto the podcast.
you cannot do your
So
Rausch beer.
I'm going to pull my Rausch beer out of the
fair.
running.
I knew that was going to be one of yours.
Okay, yeah. So I'm pulling that out. There's actually still one left in the fridge. I really enjoyed that Fifth Voyage coconut porter that I had on Spider-Man 3.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of my favorite tastes in beer. Actually, is coconut.
Yeah. It's becoming a much more common thing, I say, in the last couple of years.
Yeah. My home local brewery of Kona Brewing Company has been doing it for a long time at this point, and I really enjoy that flavor in there. It doesn't surprise me that it's come up more and more. I know, Ryan, you just don't like coconut, but from a taste profile, coconut makes a lot of sense in beer. It has a relatively sweet taste, but it's not overly sweet, and it's very
it's
like
subtly
a
sweet.
subdued sweetness,
right, and it's very distinctive. So it's really easy to get that taste to come through in your beer. It's not like you're going to be dropping, raspberries in there or something that is in like a heavy beer that's really going to be hard to come through. Coconut comes through in most things.
Yeah. Coconut was definitely a flavor that grew on me as I was growing up. Like I wasn't a huge fan on it. My dad was always a big fan of like Mounds and Almond Joys and stuff like that. But coconut shavings on the seldom pastries that I do consume is always kind of enjoyable, or like with your yogurt or whatever. So
okay. And then I'm going to agree with you guys on Critterless. As the I guess
sweeping it with shorts on that one.
the house sour guy. I was really pleasantly surprised with Critterless.
Co-chaired by me.
Yeah. Yes. I personally could have used it to be a bit more sour. I really do like sour in my beer.
Mhm.
To the point that like I will drink stuff that I know other people just like literally can't drink. I've got
That's how I feel about IPAs. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
give me those IBUs of 100.
yeah, I've turned like you. I've turned my mom specifically onto craft beers, and she likes most things. And there's certain sours I'll drink that she won't touch because she just can't handle.
I tried. I had some of the Sierra Nevada. I think it was like Azaka or something like that.
Okay.
It was Sierra Nevada's sour goza with like cactus fruit and something like that. And I'm like, hey, try this. And it's like, no.
So, and then just because you guys cheated, I'm going to cheat also. I have a tie for it. I actually really, really, really like this Oarsman.
It's very
a
good.
lot.
Yeah, it's very good.
And because it reminds me
Mine
of
is
Gosa,
gone.
I am tying it with the Briny Melon Gosa,
Which was
that
excellent.
I had for Jeepers Creepers, which was
That was a good one.
just as refreshing as this was, but
Mhm.
has that little bit of salt in it that I like a lot. I'm actually really looking forward to finding that beer again this summer.
They've got some other iterations of it now, some different flavors.
Yeah, I
that
really
I haven't
want
tried.
to like go into those other ones. I want to find more of this Oarsman. It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's very good.
So I think that Gosa was a new type of beer that I got introduced to through this podcast, actually.
Yeah, I've only known about gozas for a little over a year and a half now. I was in Maine at a brewery or whatever. It's like, oh, we brewed a goza, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah. So I'm really going to enjoy dipping into Gosas more here.
Well,
Sure.
We're definitely getting into the warmer months now.
Yes.
So we'll be getting more into those kinds of beers. You know, we didn't really start doing our as frequent recordings until like the last 4 or 5 months, in comparison to our first handful of episodes. Our first handful of episodes were all in the summer of last year to pull the veil behind the veil away.
Yeah.
And so that's been all like fall and winter beers, where porters, stouts, ambers, heavier beers, less sours. So yeah, we'll be able to get more of those sours that you like.
Yes.
Like something I recently had that I probably would not have tried or maybe not have enjoyed as much were it not for this podcast was Tart and Juicy IPA by Epic Brewing, which is like if everyone took James's beer tastes of like sours and gozas and mine of IPAs and mixed them together, it's like just a very, very grapefruity IPA that it was wonderful. Wonderful, So more grapefruity than the grapefruit Sculpin, not as high as an ABV, so you can have more than one or two of them.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And going on now to Ryan.
So I think this is the part where we start discussing what our favorite episodes were.
This is correct.
Right.
Yep.
So we haven't really defined a criteria set for why. So why don't we just start with James, pick 2, and just tell us why.
Favorite episodes?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Santa's Sleigh. I think that is that movie's a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's way more fun than it ever deserves to be.
Right.
It knows exactly what it is, and there was so much fun in that it was a blind view for us.
Mm-hmm.
We really got lucky on our first blind view of picking a good movie, and all I remember about that movie is just laughing and laughing and laughing about it.
Yeah, that could have been terrible.
Yeah.
That could have just been absolutely horrendous. We could have had to scrap that episode and never posted it, but I had known that movie had a reputation, kind of. Like, I have a buddy who watches that movie every Christmas. I probably
Sounds
will
like we would get
partake
along.
in that tradition as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it a whole lot. And then, part of me wants to say the Flintstones because there is something fun about that first episode.
For sure.
There is something really, really special about the way that the three of us kind of clicked about what we were talking about right away. And I think one of the things that I'll talk about is that later on in the next segment on thoughts on the podcast. But the other one I'm going to say honestly is Deep Rising, just because I love that movie. Yeah, I adore Deep Rising. I recognize how bad that movie is, but on the same account, I think that movie hits all the right B movie beats. It hits a really ridiculous monster, an absurd setting of a like destroyed, sinking cruise line, enough gore and cheese and bad explosions to, last you a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And pirates. You can't ever have a good movie without pirates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, Ryan.
Ooh, I get to go.
Or
next.
no, I'll go next. I'll go next.
way to hijack
I'll
a segment.
pass the
Max.
talking stick to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite movies.
You hijacked it like a boat pirate.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Well played. Staying in character.
I am going to have to go with Death Race 2050.
That was
Okay.
fun. I
So-
like that pick.
Yeah. So I've probably watched some of the most schlock out of all you guys, and by
Yeah.
schlock I mean MST3K tier stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, there are 180 some episodes of MST3K. I've watched over 100 of them.
Excellent.
So that is a lot of just shitty ass movies.
Life goals.
Yeah. Oh no, I know. I have a spreadsheet on Google Drive that keeps track of which ones I have and haven't watched.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. You somehow made that worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm trying to go in sequential order. I'm up to like season 7 right now.
So that's just awesome.
Yep. Yep. So like, I really enjoy Malcolm McDowell as the very old. I enjoy the elderly Malcolm McDowell being cast as the evil corporate villain. I enjoy the just low budget, terrible effects of that movie for the most part. As we said in that movie, that second act just goes on way too long. And it's fun. It knows what it's trying to be. It doesn't try to hide what it is. And I can really appreciate that. And
It's your Deep Rising.
well, no, Deep Rising is my other movie.
Okay.
Deep Rising being my second one because I think that was the first episode. I mean, we were only 4 in, but that was the first one I had not seen beforehand. Like Flintstones, Death Race, Dude, Where's My Car. I'd seen all those movies before, once or twice, so I knew what I was kind of getting into, like what I was watching. That was the first time I did the James Thorpe method of watching the movie twice in one day.
Not
So
recommended, guys.
Yeah, for the most
It's
movies,
not
I wouldn't
preferred.
recommend that. But for that movie, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll watch that twice in a day.
Yeah.
Because it was so good. It's got high-stakes jet skiing action, grappling, rappelling action,
Yeah.
We should
people
just
getting
change this.
axed to the face.
Just change this to a podcast about Deep Rising.
right,
Yeah.
right. Every week.
Just developing backstories for all the different pirates.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
It's got
right.
Sagat in
Yeah.
it from Street Fighter, a guy who looks a lot like Seal, Famke
Right.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just a fun movie overall, and I'm gonna slide in with the third with Ravenous because I like how much James Thorpe hates it.
I hate that movie.
Oh
Right,
man.
Ryan.
Oh, I'm up to bat. This is tough. For a lot of reasons, good reasons. I'm actually going to start with Deep Rising. There's absolutely no question for all the reasons you guys went over, but one of the reasons that episode was I accidentally just did the Trump finger pinch and well shake. You guys can't see it, but anyway, I've always loved Deep Rising. It's always been a super fun movie for me, and that Max hadn't seen it before, and we got to introduce you to this movie, and that you liked it as much as we did just was so fun for me, and I think James too. Just have you have that reaction to it, but yeah, it's just. Again, it just mirroring everything you said, James. It knows what it is. It's funny in weird ways. The Pantucci, is a funny character. I still quote him to this day. You know, can you just get asthma? Is one a thing I'll say. A main character who the actor playing him has one of the most punnable names ever with Treat Williams.
Yes,
but yeah,
wait. Treat Williams doesn't play Petrucci.
No. But he plays the main character though.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I can't even remember the character's name.
No, me neither.
But yeah, that movie's just a ton of fun to me.
Junk Food Sinclair.
Snack McElroy, that's my favorite one. But yeah, to pick two is tough. Because our guest episodes were so good.
Oh yeah,
I really like them, and I'm kind of tiptoeing around them because I don't want to pick a guest and then like have other guests be like, well, why'd you pick them and not me? But not that any of our guests are like that and that trite, but
I do that too.
Yeah. I would expect nothing less. And James, I promise I'm not doing this to spite you, but Ravenous,
oh yeah, you are. You
I'm
totally
not.
are.
That's
Yes, you are.
That's a benefit of it.
No,
that's
yes.
a benefit of
Yes,
it.
it is.
But Ravenous, because it's a movie that I've always remembered when it was first released. I saw trailers for it all the time, and I was like, I really want to watch that, and I never did. And then it came up on the podcast, and it's just it's one of the most unique movies we've watched.
Yeah.
Just for composition. It's very bizarre, and it does some things I don't want to say well.
No,
yes. It doesn't do things well. But there's a lot of uniqueness to that movie, and I like that.
That movie had some very tense moments. Like I remember, so I first discovered that movie a week or two before I suggested it because I was looking up for like H.P. Lovecraft movies because that's what I do in my free time.
Right.
And that was one of the movies, and I saw it was on Netflix. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'll watch this. And I remember in that movie when they go into the cave and that like weird drum music starts playing, and I'm like, that was like a pretty like high state, like it was like a very
Tensions
unsettling
building?
very like almost like what's going to happen in this cave, like are there some weird degenerate cannibals gonna come like jump out, and then it's like, oh no, that's,
you've been had.
Yeah, you've been had. And I'm like, you got me.
Zoinks, boys.
Yeah, zoinks. And then like
Guy Kilmer.
Guy Kilmer.
And then when like Robert Kyle like starts freaking out, and then the music just changes to that weird banjo-y thing, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, wait, hold,
and
what?
I'm like, we're doing this movie on the podcast because of this musical cue.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then just looking into like the weirdness of how that movie was made.
Yeah.
And then James just shaking his head at me whenever I mention it.
It's so we did a 2-hour meat pun-a-thon via text between the three of us a while ago, which was a wonderful time. But circling back to the beginning of this recording, James, you kind of mentioned just the types of movies. You guys are talking the types of movies that we try to do. I also like Ravenous and Deep Rising very much because they're not as mainstream as some of the other movies we do. I like that. I like the same way for me for the beers. I like that we do both things that are probably easy to find and people know about, but also some things that are probably more obscure. Like to me, that very much entertains me a lot and interests me deeply.
Yeah, like for Barley Fife, the beer we had for London Has Fallen, my parents went out to the west coast of Michigan for like a wine tour weekend. They're like, oh, we're at this brewery. Do you want us to pick you up anything? And I'm like, give me a list of what there is there. And they sent me, a list, and I'm like, oh, English style stout. That's not something I can readily find. I'm like, bring us that back for the podcast.
Serve your purpose.
Well, something should stay obscure, like Ravenous, so that no one is.
I don't know. Since they made that list of like best 10 horror movies on Netflix, and Ravenous was on there, I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I guess now
James is getting real indignant over there.
I'd like to remind Max that I drove this week and he can stay here if he wants.
Hey, I got a nice spare bedroom. It's cool, bro. And plenty of beer left. We can watch Ravenous all night and get hammered.
Oh gosh, need more Critterless.
Yeah, that can be done.
Okay,
give the word.
So I guess enough about the good movies we have enjoyed. Now the movies we haven't, I guess.
I guess
our
that's
least favorites.
Sure. Oh, okay. I'll raise my hand on that one, I guess.
Have at it.
Oh, you guys, I did not. My least favorite two, I guess. London Has Fallen. The because that felt really generic to me a lot of the time. What else would I pick though? Actually, Sleepy Hollow was pretty close. It'd probably be it's Hercules and London Has Fallen. Those are my least favorite. Just overall.
Even though you suggested Hercules,
I did suggest Hercules because I thought we could rip it apart, and I think we did a fine job. But yeah, I don't like those movies at all. I mean, I think we had fun. I totally had fun with it, but those are just leave them in the trash. No thanks. James, want to take the wheel?
Yeah, sure.
Max is perusing the
So,
list.
Ravenous.
surprise, surprise.
I despise that movie. I cannot bring myself to like even accept the idea that you two like that movie in any way, shape, or form. Which is horrific because I have to hear about it all the time.
Did this to yourself?
No, you did it.
Yes, I did.
You just admitted you did it like 5 minutes ago.
That's in the past.
Yeah. I mean, I in all seriousness, I can understand where you guys are coming from that movie because there are interesting ideas in that movie.
I just hate you for it.
Yeah. No, it hits a lot of the same complaints that I have about Sleepy Hollow, which is that most of that movie, I just don't care.
You just don't like Jeffrey Jones. That's what this is
I
about.
think
Yeah.
that's a big purpose of it. I just don't like Jeffrey Jones.
We're gonna force you to watch Howard the Duck.
Yeah.
We probably should watch Howard the Duck for the podcast, by the way. But I think that's been kind of my bigger thing in a lot of these movies, and I mean it almost sounds dumb because that and Sleepy Hollow are the two like thinkiest movies that we've probably watched.
Maybe the Trust. Well, Trust doesn't really have a thinky.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick on Sleepy Hollow for that one right there, but I don't like Sleepy Hollow, but I think we had a pretty good episode for it.
Yeah.
The Trust as a movie, I'm gonna put that down as one of my least favorites, just because I really, really enjoy the first 30 minutes of that movie.
Oh yeah, like as I was
love
looking
the-
over
Yeah,
this,
it's
I'm like,
two
James
different
gonna pick
movies.
The Trust.
It is so fun. The background stuff that's going
Yeah.
on, it's hilarious. The interaction between the two characters is great. And then out of nowhere, that movie makes a complete 180.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it takes a nosedive into darkness and never comes
It
back.
never comes back.
When Nick Cage pulls the gun on the arms dealer, and
Yeah.
just shoots him.
Yeah.
I mean, it turns into that movie that I think you and I have already referenced it maybe a few times on the podcast, Ryan. That the movie with Brad Pitt and the guy who plays the android on Prometheus,
Michael Fassbender.
and Michael Fassbender about drug dealing in with the horrible little machines that cut your throat.
Oh, fuck it, The Counselor.
The Counselor.
Yeah. I
mean-
what's that got? Penelope
Penelope
in it?
Cruz is in it.
Yeah.
That movie is one of the darkest movies I've
Yeah,
ever
man,
seen
I wasn't
in my
ready for
life.
that.
I was not ready for that movie. At that point, I think my wife was...
Yeah, Javier Bardem's in that too.
Yeah, my wife
Cameron
was
Diaz.
away for a while on something, and I mean, it was just... That
It was a
movie
dark
is
movie.
brutally dark, and that is exactly where The Trust goes. The
Yeah.
Trust becomes this
It's-
brutally dark movie
Mhm.
that has nothing of what it showed at the very beginning.
Right.
It's another one of those movies that like the trailer shows you one thing, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be Fargo-ish. In
Yeah.
that same like fiasco game sense of like,
Yeah.
it's out got this plot, and it's gonna go sideways, and it's like, cause even like the way the movie is shot changes when the tone changes.
Yeah,
it's more like not shaky cam, but like over the shoulder third person kind of thing, where the cameras are kind of like
it becomes
following you.
very intimate.
Right, and that
Yeah.
and that lends to the idea that it's a very intentional tonal change.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not some weird just like discontinuity, and we didn't know what we wanted the movie to be. It's very intentional in The Trust.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but at the same point, like it wasn't what I wanted from that.
Oh yeah,
you
I'm
know?
not saying
No.
that because it was intentional, it was good. I'm
No.
just saying.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if the whole movie was that way, I would just accept the fact that it's a really dark movie and I didn't like it because it's a really dark movie.
Mm.
But the promise that movie shows
Yeah,
in the first
Right.
30
like
minutes.
even like that music at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
it goes back to it at the
Mhm.
end. It's like
Yeah.
some nice strings and horns and at the end, just like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, I want to watch that
Sad
movie.
face.
That's the movie I want to watch. It's the first 30 minutes.
Okay. And for me, I'll say least favorite episodes. London Has Fallen, just because it's so generic-y action movie, even though it came out in 2016. And, well, I guess that was one of our first sequels, not part 3-quels. Yeah, like, that's a movie where it's like, whenever there's like a good, like, emotional beat, it, like, diffuses it by, like, just throwing in some fucks.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
which was one of your
actually
main
that
comments.
was actually why I picked that movie, was because of how like tonally bad it is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted you guys to have to experience that.
Oh.
I mean, a movie upon which like the lead Secret Service agent for the president
Right.
murders someone's brother on the phone with his brother, and the president's just like, "Why
This is
did
the
you-"
sound of your brother died.
Yeah, like why was that really
Why?
necessary? I mean, anytime you have to
Eckhart's
ask
like-
that question about
Aaron
your main
Eckhart's like,
character.
this is why there's terrorists.
Yeah.
You are why there are terrorists.
Yeah. So, to give you an idea, that's why I picked that movie
Right.
for you
So
guys
he,
to watch.
to piggyback off a joke, I forget the comedian, but his character is essentially Coors Light gun tits in this movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Just hyper American Jingo Joe.
Yep. Other movie,
Just
Escape from LA, maybe?
really, that surprises me.
That surprises me a whole lot.
It's, I don't know.
Pick a different one, Max.
Okay, I mean, Escape from LA, I really enjoy John Carpenter a lot.
So it's more of a disappointment thing.
Yeah, this is more of
That's
a me
fair.
disappointed in John Carpenter, because I feel like or that might be the first of his, like, really bad movies,
Okay.
because he hasn't done anything good in a while. I'm sorry.
So that's your Pavlovian response to London or to Escape from LA is just to
Yeah.
get sad.
Yeah, I'm so sad by it. Like, The Thing, Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, even in the Mouths of Madness, which kind of like is on the edge of like down to bad.
I like that one.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed the movie because I love Lovecraft and cosmic horror and shit. But that movie, like, it goes on forever. Like, it gets to the peak of like, oh, it's something's happening, and then it's like, nope, something more happening. No, it goes on too long. The effects are just bad.
Wait, are we,
Some of the
are we still
scenes-
talking about which movie we're talking about now?
Escape from LA.
Escape from LA.
Okay, sorry. I thought we were on the Mouth of Madness thing.
No,
Sorry.
no,
I'm
no.
centered now. Continue.
No,
Sorry for
no.
interrupting.
Yeah. No, like,
I
all the
got my
scenes
keys
in
out,
Escape
guys.
from
Sorry.
LA just they go too long. It's the movie entirely just feels like a rehash of Escape from New York, just with a little bit of, a coat of paint just to make it look like it seemed like it's a different thing, even though it's clearly the same story. Go into place, retrieve thing, you have X amount of hours, otherwise bad thing happens to you.
Oh yeah, it's literally the same plot.
Yeah, so it just feels like a lazy movie, kind of, even though there's like some big like sweeping shots, or not sweeping shots, but like big sets, big action scenes, high stakes basketballing.
Yes.
Magically held aloft, hang gliding.
Oh God, yeah.
They should have played basketball while hang gliding.
Hang ball.
Hangball.
Isn't that just Quidditch?
No.
It's pretty damn close. So, yeah. Escape from LA, just because it was such a disappointment. And even though I knew it was going to be a disappointment from what you had said about it beforehand, James. Like, I wanted to say, I mean, Original Death Race is up there just because that kind of falls in the same category as London Has Fallen.
I'm sensing the theme here, Ryan.
What?
Just don't let James pick movies anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad movie. It's one of the higher ratings on the IMDb's, and I've seen it before, and I can get behind it like as an idea, but I wanted it to be more ridiculous.
I think
And it had gotten to the like we're at the point now within movies, or at least for me, where whenever I see like a totally like washed out gray monochromatic set or movie, I'm just like, oh,
You're all
great,
enough, Zack
another
Snyder.
one.
Enough.
I think
But that movie's from 2009, so
Yeah.
it's getting up there in age from
Yeah,
a
that-
relative perspective.
that movie's on the front end of a lot of that washed out stuff that we're dealing with now. So I'll defend it a little bit on that aspect, and I'll agree with you on the idea that in some ways Death Race doesn't make a great episode for us because it doesn't quite go far enough in the places that really we need it to go far enough to kind of have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And from a action movie standpoint, it's pretty well structured. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not a ton wrong with Death Race outside of the fact that it just doesn't go for it.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of like an early Fast and the Furious movie, Fast and the Furious movie, where it's like, yeah, crazy car stunts, but it's not too crazy.
Yeah, it's there.
It's there. It's not, we're pulling a safe by the back of a car or driving a car from one tower in Dubai to another.
Right.
It hasn't gotten to that ridiculous. It's not at the ridiculous point that I think action movies have gotten to.
Right. Yep.
Like, I feel like in the last, 3 to 5 years, maybe, it's totally like, hey, if we're gonna go for it, we're gonna go for it.
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to action movies, like, unless it's going for that, like, go for it, I'm not. It doesn't do much for me. Like, I think that's why a lot of people like 80s action stuff, because of how ridiculous those movies are.
Right. Yeah.
But all right, so on to our last topic.
Your suffering is almost finished.
Yes. Thoughts on the podcast, where it's been, where it's going, what you want to do more of. And
Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
sure, I'll start.
Okay.
Or at least I'll start with one
Let's
of the
just
topics
work this
there.
way.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll work this way.
We'll end on James.
Yeah. So I'm happy with how this has gone thus far. If anything, I'd like to talk more about beer in the future. Crazy little idea I have is that we'll do maybe just like beer updates, like maybe just when we're all together, do a couple minute like review of a beer, or GBBV at a brewery and do like a brewery review.
Sure.
When we
GBBV
have
on
a
parade.
flight. Yeah, GBBV on parade. So that's really the main thing that I would like to do for us in the future. This podcast has definitely kind of gone from, I think the original idea, at least on my sense, was kind of to do kind of an MST3K riff tracks kind of thing. And it quickly evolved into the more of the technical discussion of the films, or how the films work as a whole, which I think is much better. We don't have. I mean, having the technical discussion makes it easier for people to listen to without actually watching the movie. Yeah. We definitely appreciate if you do watch the movie along with our podcast
for the full experience.
Yes,
Yeah.
But you don't have to. I mean, we want it available to people to listen to on the go.
Yeah, and I think from a like a market standpoint, it's a much less saturated market, the DVD commentary style that we're doing, as opposed to a post-movie technical discussion, which I think is pretty well covered by a couple other groups. And then if you're going to try to break into the like joke section of things, you're really going to have a hard time getting past the riff tracks wall.
Yeah, so we're going,
and particularly MST3K
we're like a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, and I think that we've done a good job of finding something that we really do enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
I know I skipped you, Ryan, and I apologize.
Well,
I'll survive.
Okay.
Probably.
Well, no, this is going off my discussion. So
yeah, and I think that to give a little bit more of like genesis of this, Max and I both thoroughly enjoyed the Batman commentary that Mark Bernardin and Kevin Smith did on the Fat Man on Batman podcast, and from that, taking that idea and merging it with Max's Night of Dragon's Milk and
And Mario.
we really built that idea of like, hey, that's something that we can do with bad movies that we all really enjoy. All three of us have this like sadistic side to our, or I guess masochistic side to ourselves to do it. Although I would argue that it's become sadistic because we're submitting two other people to have to experience
That's
it
fair.
with us too.
That's all. It's just all pain everywhere.
And that's what I like about the podcast is I think we found something relatively unique to do. I think that we found something that we really enjoy that also scratches an itch out there that I don't think is really getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, that and having an excuse to go out and you purchase a bunch of new beers. Like if you go to my Untapped, it's like 500 check-ins, 450 unique check-ins, which is kind of like I don't like to watch movies multiple times unless they're like super like I hold them in high regards, and that's how I am with a lot of beers, or at least maybe just checking in those beers. Like I'm always looking for something new, something exciting, and I'm definitely getting to watch a lot of movies this way because of this podcast. But as far as the future goes, looking to get more guests on. We're looking into seeing if we can get guests who aren't in the Metro Detroit area. That'll allow us to get some more people, more opinions, more good times. Yeah, teleguests. So, but
hollow guests.
We're not in Star Trek, Ryan. But that is like I would say that is my one main goal. Is I want to be able to get people who aren't around here on the show, just because I think it'd be a lot of fun. They won't be able to drink along with us in person, but they can drink remotely
In spirit,
right.
Yeah.
And no one has to be a DD.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan,
The
podcast.
The podcast. Oh man. Well, I like very much where this has gone. Again, we were just talking about this at dinner, but my main impetus to this whole thing is just I have a lot of fun with movies, and I have a lot of fun with movies with you guys. So just a space that allows me to just talk about movies with you dudes and analyze things has been a lot of fun. And just kind of developing this show and kind of seeing where it goes it's been real great. I mean, I don't have any other. This is a very unique way for me to spend my time. And if we get people who like to do this kind of thing with us, that's great. It's awesome. I like very much that we pretty early on decided to all drink the same beer.
That was one of the best decisions we made.
Yeah,
that was real good. I've been happy to have some feedback actually from a coworker. So thanks, Aaron. I don't know if you're listening to this episode. But one of the things he suggested that we try to do a little more that I agree with is maybe just describing what's happening in movies more.
Yeah, that's kind of been
it's tough, though.
a common response, but it's like keeping that in track with the ongoing discussion you want to maintain.
Right, yeah. So there's a balance to that. It's a good comment.
Yeah.
Oh, it's an excellent comment. It's something that we've heard not just from Aaron, but we've heard from a couple other people. And I think that just from listening to the last few recordings, we've all been made a conscious effort to try to describe what's been going on a lot more now.
Right. But yeah, and I'm much newer to beer than you guys are, so this show has given me a great has been a great catalyst for me getting into beer in general and just kind of learning more. So that's been great. Just my livers may not agree, but livers plural. Dark Harvest, Invader Zim. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
How's your squeedly spooch?
My squeedly spooch. But yeah, it's been good. Guests have been just so great. So everybody who's been on and is thinking about being on, thank you so much. It's a ton of fun to get other people on here with different perspectives, and it's always great to have a new person to laugh with.
Yeah,
and to just kind of just be a nerd with us. So that's so great. Something I'd like to look into doing, or that I'm kind of excited for the potential, maybe seeing how we can cross into other maybe spaces, cross promote with people. I'd like to start pinging local, like maybe breweries, maybe, and seeing, hey, could we record an episode at your venue one day, just sit in like a back room and maybe, I don't know, something
Yeah.
to reach out to local breweries.
Maybe, or some kind of live event or something
Yeah,
like
some,
that.
some
That's,
more community involvement, I guess.
yeah.
Whether or not it happens, whatever. But it's something I'm thinking about, and we'll bounce off you guys. That's kind of, I guess, all I got without repeating what you bozos have shared, Mr. Thorpe.
I think one of the biggest things from a success standpoint that we've managed to do is we found a cadence with each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we mesh well.
It's relatively rare that we talk over each other on the show.
I will admit that is one of my faults, is talking over other people. But
but it rarely, but even with you, it rarely happens. It doesn't happen as often as you think. It really doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think I've given you the stink eye yet.
No, I think it might have been more of an early on thing. Like I took much more notes on the movies early on because I was trying to do more of like the jokey kind of thing, and I wanted to get my jokes in.
I think that's been a shift that we had. We have from that we've kind of developed that natural cadence with each other.
Yeah,
and I think that happened. I mean, no more than 5 or 6 episodes in.
It happened real quick.
It happened really fast, and one of the reasons why you can notice that, honestly, is that if you do go back and listen to the guest episodes, which I'm like Ryan, I really thoroughly do enjoy having guests on, but when guests are on,
we all do.
You can tell that they're the ones that aren't part of that cadence.
Sure,
and that's not really picking on the guests or anything.
Yeah.
It's just that when you have the three of us who have done at this point 24 episodes with each other, and even this episode, we're not really talking over each other with a lot of this. It's one of those things where it's people can get into that cadence with us inside of an episode, but I think when we have guests that will be repeat guests, that will build up on each other. So
sure.
I've been really happy about that.
And yeah, 2 of our first guests actually, they've never done a podcast before. Right, so that's kind of a new space for them to sit down and they got to feel comfortable with even just that.
Yeah,
right. Just talking to these little microphones here, poke. But because I don't think Jordan had done anything like this. Kayla hadn't.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean that makes sense. But yeah, it's been good.
And I go into the guest realm again too, but before I do that, I'm going to go to your notes section, Max. All 3 of us have actually basically stopped taking notes on the movies. I know Max takes a little bit of notes on the movies still.
Yeah. That's more of jokes and observations and such. But like for Sleepy Hollow, I didn't take any notes. One, because I left my joke notebook.
And you're really familiar with the movie.
Yeah, back here, and I'm very familiar with the movie. But it's kind of funny because like you guys remember like in high school and middle school you had like your planner where you wrote down like your
right.
class schedule and stuff like that.
Yep.
I never kept that. Like I had it. It was basically just so I could go to the restroom every day.
Yeah, right.
It was never to like write my schedule down. So I've always been very bad about like writing a schedule down for myself like outside of work. Like you have your Outlook calendar or whatever. Keep track of your meetings, but I've never been one to be like, oh, I need to put that I'm going to so-and-so's place on such and such day with my in my Google Calendar or whatever. And this is like the closest thing I have to like keeping a record of like
your thoughts
my
and activities
thoughts and such. Yeah.
Well, and I think that even with you, Ryan, and from looking at your notes a little bit, Max, they become more thematic. Like I would like to talk about this, or whereas early on, we were taking notes that had timestamps on them so that we knew when we'd like to talk about things.
Mm-hmm.
And a shift away from that falls back into that cadence deal. It's become much more of a natural thing for us to kind of hit on these topics and discuss things. And we've become much more comfortable with just kind of letting the movie go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we have a 5-minute discussion and the movie goes,
fine.
it just happens. That's okay. We don't need to keep everything going. And then that's where it talks like, hey, we need to bring the movie back, and that's when we describe what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think we're working on that together. Going to the guest thing, one of the most fun things that we've had on this whole deal is bringing people on.
Oh yeah, most
and
definitely.
Seeing them be a little nervous about being on a microphone for the first time, and then all of a sudden 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, they forget they're on the mic.
Right.
You can tell they completely forget they're on the mic, and they just start talking, and they just start really having fun.
Yeah.
And
which is the core idea behind the show to begin with.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's been a really that's a ton of fun to watch.
Yeah.
I keep using the word fun, but it's really a great joy to see somebody just completely relax and get into what's going on and having fun on the screen.
Knock back a beer.
Yeah,
Or two.
or two, and I don't know. I think that that kind of lends itself to maybe getting more guests on in these next 24 episodes.
Oh
or so.
yeah. I can top of my head, I can probably name 5 people we want to have on.
Yeah, because we built the beginning of the show and we said, okay, we want to build that cadence with each other first before we bring anybody else on. And then these last few episodes, we had the origin episode, and then we had all 3 of our origin episodes, and we decided, okay, we're going to do those with just the 3 of us because we wanted to kind of build those. Well, I mean, you put those together enough, and we blocked off 60 to 70% of the show of the first 24 episodes of just saying we can't have guests on at all, and then
we got catching up to do.
And then
That's
organizing guests for the rest of the part means that we only got half, even half of those got guests on them. So that's kind of where this comes in. So I'm looking forward to having guests on. I'm looking forward to having
regular guests,
regular
repeat
guests return. And then the other deal that I'm looking forward to is kind of stretching our wings a little bit, because we realize that we've been action movie heavy, but but it is
90s action movie heavy.
But it's such fertile ground.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Iowa of bad movies here, people. It's 10 feet of dark
Corn
black topsoil.
Corn as far as the eye can see.
So yeah, we're making a conscious effort to try and work comedy in, which is tough, and we've talked about that, but we're trying to get that in, and maybe back more so to even more horror movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've also been talking about trying to vary time periods too.
Yeah. I think the earliest movie we've done it might be the Flintstones, actually. So there's nothing prior to 1980. Yeah, everything we've done 92, 93, there's no 80s movies, no 70s movies. So that's kind of the whole thing, is like, do we delve? Because when you start delving deep in those past decades, you start going into MST3K territory.
Right, yeah.
Like, I saw a good 80s, it's an 80s action movie. It's like 82 with Charlie Sheen, that I think would be maybe a good contender for the podcast, because it's just silly. But there's the common perception of it's the 80s. It's silly. So
Right.
Yeah. And that's where a lot of some of the guest episode stuff is fun, because they think a little bit outside of what we think about. You kind of do get boxed in a little on focus here.
Well, that just means we need to have more guests.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about that, we're looking forward into these next 24 episodes, because we're planning on doing these, cleaning out the fridges every 25.
25 or so.
Side note, I'm going to need a bigger fridge.
Yeah. So one of the movies we were discussing is we were looking at League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which is
Yep.
That's garbage.
it's just a rough movie. I've mulled about Gods of Egypt, which is a long movie. I honestly don't know if I'm going to really pull that one on here. We'll see.
Whatever. Something. The Sulk.
The Ang Lee Hulk, which is colloquially known as the Sulk amongst us, is a tremendously poor movie that I know we're going to probably do on
this. Disappoints me greatly.
Batman and Robin.
Yep, we are going to force someone who has never watched that movie to watch that movie. So, good luck with that.
Yes. So whoever that is, we're not sorry.
Right. Nor will we ever be.
Nope.
The Cell.
I love The Cell.
Yep.
I cannot wait for that one.
Yep, that is an episode that's been long in the pipeline, but we just haven't been able to get a time scheduled for the guest.
Yep, Vincent D'Onofrio, Jennifer Lopez, Vincent Vaughn.
Jurassic Park 3 just hit Netflix, guys.
Ooh.
To keep our we here at GBBV have a couple like secret mini series that are flown throughout the rest of the episodes we've done, which is the Terrible Threes Max has talked about, the secret Gerard Butler continuation.
They're not secret anymore. You're telling everyone.
Yeah,
about
well,
it. But yeah,
we've been
open about it.
Yeah,
the Stephen Sommers movies, which is Deep Rising and Van Helsing.
Yeah,
yes,
right.
Yep. So I mean, one does find trends in the realm of bad movies.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt,
You're-
but just something I forgot to mention too. Maybe a couple more blind views, right?
Yes.
I would like to get into that. I can't. I don't want to set ourselves up for failure because they can't all be as good as Santa Sleigh. Because that was one hell of a note to start on.
Yeah, that was almost too good to start on.
So right.
I have another blind view in plan or planned for Christmas of this year.
Okay.
Only because if we watch it twice, you
Don't
guys
spoil
will
it here.
kill me.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to tell you what it is.
All right, good.
I may have told you what it is off mic, but
I still like.
we watch it twice, you will kill me.
I still like the idea that all blind views must be wrestler centric.
Yeah, it's a
That's also a
possibility.
good idea.
Total possibility.
Good idea.
In this world, the rules are ours.
Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, and we haven't done. Although I guess we've come close a couple times, is vetoing an episode.
Yes.
Because we organize this and watch them, obviously beforehand before we record, and a veto obviously is what it sounds like, where we watch the movie and just like, man, I don't want to do this, or I don't think there's enough here.
Yeah.
Right. We've come close and we haven't had to do it, and I think that opening up the opportunity or scheduling more blind views invites that veto a little more. Because we have no idea what we're getting into, right?
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know.
That's probably what will result in like more beer drank during the episode.
Well, the three
Like if
that
we
sounds
watch,
great.
Like we have the plans to do The Room. We're not going to talk about The Room for an hour and a half. We're going to get blitzed.
yeah.
Thank you, Tommy.
I think the three. Speaking of vetoes, well, just real quick to dive into that. There's been 3 movies that we've come close to vetoing.
Yes.
So it was
today's
Sleepy Hollow, Hercules,
and
London Has Fallen.
That's right.
Yep, those are the 3 that we've come close to.
So why do we come close, you guys? Why do you think we came close on those?
Well, the biggest rule that we have here is it's the rule of boring.
Mm-hmm.
A movie can't be boring.
Right.
A movie can be silly. It can be ridiculous. It can be hopefully a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to say that doesn't. None of those 3 things make a movie good.
Right.
Or bad.
Right.
But you can be a bad movie that is a lot of fun. Deep Rising is a perfect example of
Van
that.
Helsing.
And Van Helsing's a perfect example of that. With that in mind, I know London Has Fallen. Basically, you guys were on the veto fence for that because of it didn't have enough like panache to it. It was just kind of there.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of uniqueness to it, I guess, overall.
Hercules, which is the interesting part about Hercules is that I was good with Hercules, Max was good with Hercules, but the person who picked the movie Hercules almost vetoed the movie Hercules.
The Rock, the Dwayne Johnson Hercules movie directed by Brett Ratner is one of the first times in a long time that I was pissed at the theater for spending money to watch that. I was upset because it was so bad.
See, I've never been mad at the movies about what I go to see. I don't go to the theater as much as you do.
That's true.
I know
that's true
that
of most people.
Yeah, unless you're talking about Mad Max Fury Road. I generally know that it's going to be a gamble going in, and if it's bad, then I can justify my opinion on it being bad. You can't hate something without justification.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just okay. This is not a political podcast. So.
No, yeah. Sidestepping that, and then Sleepy Hollow is, I think, for the reasons that you've heard in the last episode that Ryan and I outlined it, that the movie loses itself.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the way that it's put. The movie's overly complicated and it loses itself. And the other side of that coin is that it also is relatively spectacular as it comes to some of the technical side of the movie.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to really pick
Definitely.
on.
And that's probably why the IMDb score is so high.
Right, and there's
Sure.
there's only so much oohing and awing you can do over a movie for an hour and a half.
Mhm.
Yeah, which is why we have kind of come to the decision that we're not going to do good views, bad brews, which a couple people have asked us about.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, will we watch a good movie and drink some shitty beer and talk about it? And it's like, no, because we do a commentary, we're not going to sit and talk about The Prestige for like 2 hours and drink Bud Heavy.
Yeah. and I love The Prestige, but we're not going to add anything to that conversation. And I also think that we don't set out in these podcasts to just be, nitpicky and mean-spirited
Right.
towards these movies.
It's not just a nerd curb stomp for 90 minutes.
Right.
Right. We're looking for some of the good in there too.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
genuinely love finding good stuff in these movies.
Yeah,
I think that's some of the best parts of our
Preach it,
of
brother.
these is talking about that stuff. Coming down to even dumb stuff. When we talk about Turtles, like, I want to see the movie of Casey Jones and the four samurai hanging out in New York for like 4 days.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hilarious concept, and they do
Yeah.
a great job with that.
Or
with
the
that
life
portion.
story of Jed Perfectus.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's fun in these movies, and I really hope people are taking that away from the podcast. That it's
not a
movie
mean-spirited show.
It's not a mean-spirited show, and they're bad movies, but you know what? People did put a lot of love into these movies. They really put a lot of money and time and effort into these movies, and the perfect example of that, and this isn't calling it a bad movie at all, was that Max and I recently watched and listened to the commentary of John Carpenter and Kurt Russell talking about Big Trouble in Little China. And the two of them basically saying that nobody in Hollywood was in on the joke. That when they made that movie, nobody understood that it was a joke movie. That it was a movie about, like, he's not the hero.
He's a sidekick.
He's the sidekick. He thinks he's the hero. And in that case, we watch these movies on the idea that, like, we're here to have fun with these movies, and that somebody else wanted to enjoy them and have fun, and there's ways to really actually enjoy these movies.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so a lot of people are like, sometimes roll their eyes when, you tell them what we're doing or whatever, and some people are like, oh, yeah, I remember watching the movie. Oh, yeah, that was a terrible movie.
Yeah.
And they get that kind of glint in their eye, and they're like, oh, yeah, that is a really bad movie, and they, acknowledge the fun or can't see the joke or whatever. So
Yeah, look at these movies again from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But
But especially, like, a lot of these movies, we saw in our 20 years ago or whatever, So,
yeah.
You notice a lot of things, like Ryan's always one to point out how grainy the film gets sometimes. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Yep.
Bringing it back around to the beer on a topic I forgot. So, what are your guys' favorite breweries?
Founders is up there for me, and I've had a lot more from Founders off of the podcast versus on the podcast.
Yes, yeah,
but yeah, they've got a lot of really great stuff. Backwoods Bastard is one of my absolute favorite beers. Curmudgeon, so good, you guys. I love it. Shorts has had a couple of really good things for me. Obviously, Critterless we talked about. Almost an hour ago at this point, probably. But Critterless is good. Shorts had another really good beer that I like, Bucktracutioner, which is a strawberry kiwi Hefeweizen, I believe. Very good.
Yeah, that's just another one of those, like, oh, that's a very weird beer.
Yeah. I often also like the art on Shorts. I like their art style for their beers and their whatnots. And just local place too. I actually like a couple of things very much from Dragon Mead. Final Absolution is maybe my favorite beer. It's damn well up there, and then Sin Eater also very high up for me. But they offer a lot more than what I've had from them, so I don't know if I can call them a favorite brewery for me, but That's where I'm sitting.
I haven't actually. My two favorite breweries. We haven't had anything on the show from them yet, but my two favorite.
Guess who
breweries,
just signed himself up to fix that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, is Kona
Yep.
Brewing Company. I love Kona Brewing Company.
Yeah, we had some trouble finding one of their beers. For,
For
Escape from LA.
Yeah, I couldn't find a pipeline porter to bring in. And then the other one actually is it's a really tiny brewery in the local area called Kunin's.
Kunin's, yeah.
They're again in Warren, and they have what might be my favorite IPA, which is called Drippa.
Yeah, it's the Drippa.
It's a double rice IPA that is just to die for. And that's from a microbrewery standpoint, is what I would say.
Yeah.
From a more regional macro, they're not macro breweries, but they're macro micros.
I'd say Kona is a regional because you can get that around here. Most
That's
places.
true. Yeah. Bell's and Founders are just astoundingly good. Both of those have just lineups of beers that you can go through and just hit a home run on every single one. The two of those are I adore. When we went out and met with Sophie actually, the bar ran out of Hop Slam because we were there.
Yeah, I had the last one.
Yeah, and then I got to actually introduce these guys and Sophie, and Sean, her friend who was there, to
Sean was actually another co-host on Optimism Vaccine.
Yes,
so just a weird little circumstance thing there
with Mr. Stephen Cuff.
To the joy that is Rubaeus on Nitro.
Damn dog, that shit was good.
Rubaeus on Nitro is a revelation for that beer. If you've ever had Rubaeus but you've never had it on Nitro and you have the opportunity to drink it on Nitro, it is a completely different taste on Nitro.
I can definitely account for that. I've had regular Rubaeus and I've been like, meh, it's just, it's a red beer, it's kind of raspberry, nothing spectacular, nothing that I'm like, ooh yeah, let me get some of that. I went to a friend's wedding who works for Founders, and there's Rubaeus on tap. I didn't have any because it's not a beer I relatively enjoy, but on Nitro, holy crap. I want that all day.
Yeah. It's something else. I can't really think of a beer that I know that has such different taste on Nitro, because I've had other stuff on Nitro and it's like, okay, this is smoother, has a
little heavier
head or whatever, but Rubaeus is just something else on Nitro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was great. As for me, number one always will be, pretty much always has been, will be Bell's. Two Hearted was my first craft beer outside of like my local craft beer up at Michigan Tech, KBC, Q&R Brewing Company. I have a story about drinking their porter, which I will tell you if you ever meet me. But just I have a bunch of just like really good experiences or memories involving drinking that beer, and all but like one of their beers I very much enjoy, and that is their Third Coast Ale. It's a pale ale, so that's not a beer really I enjoy, and it's kind of like meh about. So it's consistently good. There's all the different styles that one could want. Like, I didn't know that Oarsman was a sour pretty much. But I'm very much enjoying it. And after that, Ballast Point. I'm taking a break from drinking from Ballast Point. Being political about it. But just very, very high quality beer. Just a superb blend of ingredients. I haven't had a beer from them that I don't love. And yeah, so...
Yeah, to the Two Hearted experience. I mean, I think you're not really an IPA guy, Ryan, but you're okay with Two Hearted. I think the Two Hearted is the next step that you take people on for here's what craft beer begins to taste like.
That was my first step. So
yeah, I mean, to speak to another Bell's beer. I mean, it's about to be Oberon season here
next Monday
in Michigan, and
timestamp.
Yeah, I mean, Bell's really really revitalized a lot of that with Oberon, which you look back on Oberon right now, and I'll love an Oberon, but it's a pretty simple beer compared to what we drink.
It's a wheat ale. You put a nice orange on it. It's like a fancier Blue Moon. Don't anyone I said that.
Yeah, like what we drink now. But Bell's took that step and took those chances to make that beer and really push it out there. I mean, in college it was Oberon Day was a huge deal because you couldn't get it, and I think Two Hearted has become what Oberon was to them. Two Hearted is their I would think would be their flagship beer.
It's a yearly flagship as opposed to Oberon, which is a seasonal.
See, their summer flagship, but Two Hearted carries the Bell's flag, and I can't think of a better beer for any brewery to have their flag carried by.
No, I believe it's very highly ranked in like those yearly like top 100 beers in the world or whatever.
Right.
Pacific Northwest hops or Centennial hops. So, one last thing about beers. Favorite crappy beers or just the adjunct beers, like these are beers your dad probably has in the fridge before you introduced him to craft beer.
It's our lawnmower beer.
Yeah, lawnmower beers. Yeah, we'll say that.
I am going to say this, and I will be the grandfather that says I liked it before all the hipsters liked it, which is that my favorite bad beer, beyond compare, is PBR. Pabst Blue Ribbon is mine. And I am unabashed about that. If I want just junk, I'll drink a PBR.
Yep. $2.50 at the bar. If you had a good bar. I'm gonna go with Labatt. Labatt Blue.
It's a strong candidate. I don't know how far and wide Labatt distribution has become across the rest of the country. Not that we have anybody who watches this outside of like the 10-mile radius around our own houses, but I'd be curious about that because I think that Labatt could easily spread pretty far.
Yeah, I know they just signed a big contract with Little Caesars Arena as that's the beer at the arena now.
Okay,
but I think that is the most popular Canadian beer. So I bet it is fairly widely available.
Well, in the U.S. I was talking about though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Little Caesars Arena for everybody is the new Red Wings Arena in Detroit.
Yeah. But that is, when I had no money in college, like that was probably the beer I was getting in 40s of. And what? It's like $5 for two of them. But when I made beer bread a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so, and I was like, oh man, what kind of beer should I use? And the beer people I knew were just like, just put in just shitty whatever. And I went with Labatt's because I had some cans in my fridge, and that beer bread was delicious.
Yep.
Ryan.
I don't know.
I feel this is going to be harder for you because
it is going to be harder for me because I didn't really get into beer until just before the show started. And I don't know if this falls in your criteria or not, but actually I like me a Guinness, man.
I wouldn't call Guinness
lawnmower beer,
but I would say that I mean,
as far as just widely available,
in the perspective of what we've been drinking on the show, yeah.
It's kind of a macro scope.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy a good Guinness. I've got some in my fridge right now. It was just St. Patrick's Day a couple weeks ago.
That was the very first beer that was not a craft beer that I liked, that I actually liked.
Ryan drinks Guinness in a single drink, by the way.
Yeah, quickly.
Yes.
Well, Ryan, that kind of goes with your taste of liking the drier stouts.
Because it's making some sense.
Yeah.
Connecting some dots there.
Yep. Can always trace it back.
Let's trace it back. But I don't know. Blue Moon's good.
Yep.
Okay.
Subsidy Miller.
I've had PBR and Labatt, but I honestly, it was during college, and I don't think I remember anything about them.
That's
completely forgettable.
That's completely all right.
All right, so Max, I propose to you.
All right.
That we end this.
Yeah, that was about where I was going.
Yes,
mercifully.
Yeah, mercifully. One of us has to die. No.
Okay. All right. All right.
We vote James.
Yeah. No.
Anyone who likes Ravenous gets to live.
Yeah.
Yay!
I say that we do the outro with each of us saying what movie that we're looking forward to doing the most in the next 24 episodes.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I like that question though.
All right.
I'm giving
you go first because you had this
Fine.
idea. Because I need to look
I think
at our list.
Ryan's got it.
No,
I think.
fine. Fuck it. I have two.
You have
I'm
two?
giving you two.
Go for it.
I want to do the Sulk
Okay.
and the live-action Dragon Ball movie. I am so excited for. That is garbage, and I can't wait to do it.
All right. I want to do Deathbed, the bed that eats people, which is based off of a Patton Oswalt stand-up skit, which is an actual movie that was made by someone who lives in Royal Oak.
Nice.
Mm.
And I've been going back and forth on it. I watched it again maybe a few years ago, and I didn't find League of Extraordinary Gentlemen as bad as I remembered it. I think it's because of the spectacle of it, and I think it's going to be right in our wheelhouse. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with that movie, and that's really what I'm looking
Maybe
forward to
kind
doing with
of
that one.
in the same space as Van Helsing almost.
Yeah, I really think so. I think it hits a lot of those beats that we have a lot of fun with. Giant machines and big creature designs, and
I actually really like the I mean, we'll save it for the episode, but the creature design for Jekyll and Hyde.
yes,
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that if you guys haven't seen that in a while, you're gonna be very interested to see how much you actually don't despise that movie.
Mm-hmm. I just know Nemo whoops some ass.
He does.
Yeah,
His
he's
big
a-
sword
Mhm.
submarine,
Yep.
Sword Marine.
sword marine.
All right. Well, this went on a
make
lot
it
longer
stop.
than we thought it was going
Yeah,
to.
by almost a factor of 2.
I would say by I was talking about episode wise, but no, I'm
I
joking.
was talking about this episode.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
The here and now, Max.
So, thank you for listening to us jib jab for a good hour and 40 minutes. All right, so we'll see you guys next time. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Send us your hate mail at goodbrewsbadviews@gmail.com. Please drink and watch responsibly.
And thank you, Bells.
Thanks, Bells.
Bells. And until the next one, guys. Bye.
See ya.